Now that Stranger Things has came and gone, we could we could finally watch a video I found a few actually just yesterday. To be honest with you, I know I could have watched it beforehand, but I wanted to watch after just in case it fit. Why is my camera like this? There we go. Spoiled anything. The video is called "The Most Evil Characters in Stranger Things." So we'll take a make sure recording. Yep. Okay. Let's take a look. And before I start, I will be uploading every day of this year. I'll try. The schedule is somewhere here. I'll post a picture of it. So every day you'll get a new video. They might be pre-recorded, so take a grain of salt, but it'll get posted on a specific day, and that day will follow suit of a video.
The town of Hawkins, Indiana, seems innocent on the surface, but beneath it lies something darker. Down is home to forces.
God damn. Fucking hell.
Of evil, with some made of slime and some with tentacles. But the worst evil isn't always a creature. In fact, it hides in plain sight. It could be a friend, classmate, or a man in a suit. Here are the top 10 most evil characters in Stranger Things. Kicking off the list is Lonnie Byers, the father of Jonathan and Will. Lonnie isn't a supernatural villain, but his actions still leave lasting damage. From what we see in Season 1, Lonnie walked out on his family long before the events of the series. He left Joyce to raise 2 boys on her own, and he rarely checks in. When Will goes missing, Lonnie doesn't come to support his son. He shows up because he sees a chance to profit. His plan is to sue the company that owns the land where Will disappeared, hoping to get a payout if Will's found dead. He pretends to care about Joyce's grief, but he only shows interest when it benefits him. His past behavior is just as cruel. It's implied that he tried to force Jonathan into hunting and traditionally masculine hobbies, making it clear he didn't accept Will's sensitive nature either. In various clips from the show, he can be heard or seen arguing and screaming. Lonnie is a pretty bad guy, but he doesn't even compare to the characters at the top of this list.
He's also apparently homophobic.
Next up on the list, number 9, Angela. Angela represents something genuinely terrifying, a teenager with zero empathy and unlimited cruelty. Here's how. Angela's character made its debut in Season 4 as Eleven's classmate. In the show, she was introduced by laughing during Eleven's presentation about Hopper, who she thought was dead at the time. She broke Eleven down into tears. Angela then escalated the situation when she found Eleven at the roller skating rink, recording Eleven's breakdown while she embarrassed her. She even made her friend throw a chocolate shake on her. But here's what makes Angela truly evil. She enjoys it.
Bully.
Her face during these scenes. She's not angry or
80s.
threatened. She's having fun. Stay tuned to it because the top spot might not be who you expect, and they're still out there. For now, though, let's talk about someone who took teenage cruelty and turned it into something much darker. Moving on,
he wasn't evil.
Jason Carver at the number 8 spot. Here's where the list starts to get genuinely disturbing, because Jason actually believes he's the hero of the story. Like Angela, Jason's character also debuted in Season 4, with him being the captain of the basketball team, and effectively, the new king of Hawkins High. He is introduced giving a pep rally speech to the students of Hawkins, where he seems like a leader and hero. This all changes when Jason's girlfriend, Chrissy, tragically dies at the hand of Vecna. But from what Jason knows, Chrissy was last seen buying drugs with Eddie Munson, the freaking leader of the Hellfire D&D club. After his girlfriend's death, Jason doesn't just feel sorrow, he feels rage and a thirst for revenge. Later, Jason fuels mass hysteria across Hawkins, turning it into a witch hunt. He spreads lies about the Hellfire Club, painting them as a satanic cult. He punches classmates, breaks into homes, and leads a mob fueled by paranoia.
He's not evil, he's just stepping up for what he thought was right. I don't back this one.
When he believes he's saving the world while he holds Lucas at gunpoint.
So you're the 1 to 2 dude.
Max's Walkman,
oh, wait, what's your name?
Literally contributes directly
for your chapter. You're 1 to 2, buddy.
To her death. Jason isn't a monster from the Upside Down. He's worse. He's someone who thought he was doing the right thing. That kind of self-righteous evil is what puts him firmly
he
at number
was.
8. But
to his eyes, he doesn't know about Vecna. He doesn't know about them, so yeah, in a sense he is right, but he just doesn't know. He's not given full context.
Psychological damage caused by these next characters makes Jason look like a saint, because our next villain brings us into truly cold-blooded territory. From here on out, things start to escalate, starting with Grigori. In Season 3, the main antagonist of Hopper and Joyce's storyline was a Russian agent stationed in Hawkins, frequently known as Grigori. He works directly with the Russian military operation trying to reopen a gate to the Upside Down beneath Starcourt Mall. Cold and emotionless, Grigori kills without hesitation. He is introduced in the opening scene of Season 3, where he strangles a Russian scientist to death. Later, Later in the story, he discovers Hopper's plan to find their secret gate and almost beats him to death because of it. After Hopper's recovery, he continues on his search for the gate, while Grigori stays on the hunt for him, which leads to a grand final battle between Hopper and Grigori, ending with Hopper winning and ultimately killing his opponent. From murdering without emotion to assisting in an operation that would destroy the Earth, Grigori's actions don't compare the #1 spot on this list. Moving forward, the next character escalates blindly following the orders, commanding these evil orders.
Alexi, I love you, buddy. I know you're still out there. He's not. I'll spoil that. Everyone who's watching this, who watched Stranger Things, you should know now.
Beginning with LDTR Colonel Sullivan at number 6, these characters start to get more evil and too powerful.
Who the fuck are you?
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is
for their own good. During the events of Season 4, when multiple teenagers are mysteriously murdered without a trace of evidence, Sullivan arrives at Hawkins to track down the murderer of these teenagers, who he presumes is Eleven. He is introduced arriving at Sam Owen's house to question about Eleven's whereabouts, accusing him of helping her from the inside. When Sam denies knowing anything about the situation, Sullivan searches and tears apart the entire house looking for answers, but as expected, he finds nothing. This causes Sam Owens to send a signal that would change everything, but we'll get into that later. Escalating things further, Sullivan continues to track Eleven down and goes to the Byers' home in California. There, he sends his troops to break into the home, while Mike, Will, and Jonathan narrowly escape. This ultimately leads to the murder of an agent protecting them. Here's where things really start to get bad, when he captures another agent protecting the house, and continuously tortures him, until he gives an answer to Eleven's whereabouts. Having no choice, the agent gave up everything he knew. With this info, Sullivan heads to the Nina Project stationed in Nevada. He raids the silo with his troops, killing all of the personnel. With Eleven on the verge of escape, and Sam Owens begging Sullivan to hold off, Sullivan gives the order to shoot and kill Eleven, which resulted in her destroying the helicopters, holding the soldiers ordered to carry out the operation. Sullivan is worse than the rest, because as Owens is assuring him and giving him viable alternative solutions, he still carries out the order to take the shot. Unlike the others on this list, Sullivan was given a clear, even choice: kill an innocent girl or to hold off. In the end, he chose wrong. That places him at number 6 on this list. Sullivan unknowingly tried to stop Eleven, which, if successful, would result in Vecna winning. But the next person on this list knowingly tried to stop her doing Vecna's bidding. 5. Billy Hargrove. Originally introduced in Season 2,
Billy was my favorite character, honestly.
He originally lived in California when he then had to move to Hawkins. The first sign of his evil intent was when he is shown to be abusive to Max, frequently yelling at her and intimidating her to gain control. He also repeatedly told Max to stop talking with Lucas, specifically because of his race. Later, when Billy is looking for Max and finds her in the Byers' home with Steve Harrington, he doesn't try to reason. He actually beats up Steve to the point where he had to be sedated because of his violence. Moving on to where he gets more evil in Season 3, when he attempts to go on a date with a married Mrs. Wheeler, which ultimately results in him being captured and taken to Brimborn Steelwork, where he is possessed by the Mind FF-lit Air and turned into his vessel. He begins following the Mind Flayer's orders when he lures and kidnaps Heather, bringing her to the Mind Air so she could be flayed. This starts a chain reaction, with Heather then flaying her parents, and eventually random people in Hawkins. Billy's actions are directly responsible for the death and infections of dozens of people. Not only does this take lives, but it also builds the flesh monster we see in the finale of Season 3. He delivers these bodies of people where they would melt and combine into this monster. He also nearly kills Eleven toward the middle of the season, strangling her almost to death. Despite his possession, Billy is still evil. This just gave him a purpose for his rage. He was already dangerous. Billy only seems to show regret at his demise, where he apologizes to Max as he is bleeding out. In the end, Billy was evil, but in the end couldn't control his worst actions, done by the Mind Flayer. But the next character on this list willingly attempted to sacrifice the safety of Hawkins for his own personal gain, which almost led to a full-blown WR. Number 4. Larry Klein. Originally introduced in Season 3, Larry Klein is shown as the mayor of Hawkins, Indiana. At first, he seems like a patriotic leader, waving flags, celebrating the country, and promising improvements in Hawkins, working towards a better town for everyone. But it doesn't take long for his true character to surface. Beneath his public image, he's a corrupt and self-serving leader who willingly puts the people of Hawkins in danger. As the story unravels, he's revealed to be secretly working with the Russian government, who are trying to reopen a gate under Hawkins, which Larry didn't know. But he still was aware that their presence was highly illegal and dangerous, and still blindly followed these orders in exchange for his own personal benefit. He states that he receives gifts from the Russian government in exchange for property and land in Hawkins, including the Starcourt Mall. Larry knew they were up to something suspicious, as this was during the midst of the Cold War between the USA and Russia, but he still chose money and power over
So he's just
his
the mayor.
Characteristics are also shown when he
I mean, he was
to
the
ruin
dick. I
Hopper's
don't like
public
him.
image. What makes Klein's
I like Billy.
actions particularly
Billy was
evil
cool.
is that he isn't
Even as a
possessed,
bad guy, I
manipulated,
love
or
Billy's
desperate. He knows
character.
what he's doing and he does it willingly. He chooses personal wealth and power over the safety of the town he swore to protect. When questioned by Hopper, Klein doesn't deny the accusations. Instead, he threatens to ruin Hopper's career and reputation, using his influence to protect himself. Klein isn't a monster from the Upside Down. In many ways, he's worse because his actions actively help them. And he does it all in a suit with a smile on his face. Moving into the top 3 most evil characters, these get pretty disturbing. Number 3, Dr. Martin Brenner. Dr. Brenner was the director of Hawkins National Laboratory and one of the leading scientists in the MK-Ultra experiments. But behind the lab coat and calm voice is a man responsible for some of the most disturbing acts in the series. Brenner is introduced in Season 1 as the one behind the experiments on Eleven. He took her from her mother at birth, erased her past, and raised her in isolation. He trained her to use her psychic powers not to help others, but to spy, eavesdrop, and harm. When Eleven disobeyed or failed, he punished her. When she succeeded, he pushed her harder. He saw her not as a child, but as a test subject. In these experiments, 11 wasn't the only child. There were several, specifically 18, all stolen from their families. Each was subjected to painful tests, sensory deprivation, and psychological control. These experiments directly led to the opening of the first gate of the Upside Down. When that gate opened and a creature escaped, Brenner didn't take responsibility. Instead, he sent armed guards into danger and continued chasing 11 when she escaped. In Season 4, we learned that Brenner survived and has continued his work underground. He imprisons 11 again, claiming it's for her own good. He says he wants to help her regain her powers, but the way he does it is the same as before. Control, manipulation, and fear. Even when the military storms the facility, Brenner chooses to keep 11 restrained, valuing the project more than her safety. What puts Brenner so high on this list is not just what he did, but how he saw himself. He believed he was a father figure, that he was helping these children. But real fathers don't torture their kids. Papa didn't just cause pain, he created monsters, and in the process,
Old Spice Swagger's freshness makes me smell good. So
Honestly, I'll let this ad play out because, you know,
I took my Old Spice.
some
worked
people need
very
deodorant.
hard, and became the best player
Sheesh.
ever. Sometimes a man must
Ahmed.
overcompensate for his freshness.
Especially Ahmed.
he became one himself. The next 2 characters on this list are the ones behind it all. Coming in at number 2 is Henry Quill, also known as 001 and eventually Vecna. He is not just one of the most evil characters in Stranger Things. He is the origin of it all. Vecna was originally introduced in Season 4 as a mysterious, friendly orderly at Hawkins' lab, but later reveals himself to be 001, the first test subject. But even before he became 001, Henry was already evil. As a child, he used his psychic abilities to torment his own family. He killed his mother and sister and framed his father, who ended up in prison for crimes he did not commit. After this, Henry's death was faked by the government, and he then became 001. In his time at the lab, he only grew more dangerous, plotting every chance he could get. In Season 4, he began to tell 11 lies about Papa, saying that he planned to kill her. But this was all a part of his master plan, to have 11 remove the Soteria chip in his neck, a device that prevented him from using his powers, and effectively controlled him. The moment 11 frees him, he immediately begins killing all employees and other test subjects in the lab, an act known as the massacre at Hawkins' lab. His plan ultimately fails, with 11 refusing to join him, leading to her banishing him into an alternate dimension, where he mutates into something much worse. Here he begins his second plan to take over the world. Years later, as Vecna, he begins to psychologically torture his victims before killing them, an act that created enough energy to open gates across Hawkins. Vecna is responsible for the deaths of Chrissy, Fred, and Patrick. He nearly kills Max, and his attack on her breaks the 4th gate. That event splits Hawkins open and unleashes the Upside Down into the real world. Unlike other villains, Vecna is not acting on instinct. He is calculated. He has a mission to destroy the world as we know it and rebuild it in his image. His actions are cold and deliberate and driven by hate. Vecna did not just cause pain, he planned it. But still, as evil as he is not number 1 on this list, because the next name on this list is not just a villain, he is something else entirely. 1. The Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer is not human, in fact.
I've heard theories that think it's Pennywise in a sense. There's
total
I
domination
don't like that
and
theory.
control over not the Upside Down and the right side up. In Season 2, the Mind Flayer possesses Will, turning him into his vessel. He uses Will Byers as a
Wait,
host to
technically
spy on
Billy would have been a
Hawkins, and
vessel
as
as
a
well.
connection that we would set back the plan.
Because he had the choice, and he decided to
spreading of the gates
not
in
side
Hawkins'
with
lab. This
him.
destroyed Will and scars him forever.
Or he
and it
betrayed the
affected
Mind
him
Flayer in a
mentally and
sense.
physically. In Season 3, the Mind Flayer returns stronger. It builds a physical form out of flesh and bone using Billy, melting innocent people into a monstrous body. Over 30 citizens of Hawkins are killed this way. They are consumed and stripped of their identities until they are nothing more than raw material. That is the level of control the Mind Flayer has. It erases who you are. What separates the Mind Flayer from other villains is that it does not want revenge or recognition. It simply wants to wipe out the human world. It views people as ants to be crushed. It invades minds, uses your worst memories against you, and makes you betray the people you love. The Mind Flayer is the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. It manipulates other monsters. It uses Vecna as a vessel. It spreads rot and death wherever it goes. It does not talk, it does not reason, it only destroys. And that's why the Mind Flayer
Yeah.
takes the top spot on this list.
Why Steve's death will break the entire group. Alright, if you guys want me to react to that, put it in the comments. That's an interesting video. Alright, that's it for this video. Peace out. See you next time. And actually, next time is tomorrow. So, see you tomorrow.